This map has 100 territories, and that's just amazing, isn't it? That's the biggest Risk map ever, which is called Command Base C1X. This is another fixed card game and I'm the red player in this game. And as much as I wouldn't have liked to go for the command area in the middle, since with it being in the center a lot of players would able to invade me, I just had to, because playing on big maps it could be very important to get a continent as soon as possible, so you would be one of the strongest players rather than the one barely surviving. Putting your troops into one big army and being without a continent doesn't really work here because you will just be overwhelmed by the troops difference. It's also not only the continents, but the number of the territories you have as well. Having lots of territories highly increases your territorial troop bonus as well. But getting back to the continents, I just had to go for the center one because any other continents weren't suitable for me to go at all, while this one I should capture in 2 turns. So the question is whether others will actually let me hold it or not. But I mean, before others get a continent, usually they're firstly prioritizing to getting it by themselves as well firstly rather than to invade someone. So this is another reason for me to be in a rush. As with another player getting a continent before me, then he could just immediately invade me to continue being the only player with a continent. Also, this is where the alliances come to the place as well. To increase your chances of holding a continent, try to make as many alliances as possible. Doesn't matter even if you actually don't intend to be friends with anyone or someone, later on you will always be able to break the alliances you don't want to be in. By becoming the strongest player you will become the most influential player in the game. So my tactic is to send the alliances to everyone, so they would be focusing on attacking each other while leaving me alone and letting me just simply hoard my troops or even expand if I get a good opportunity. It could be especially important to make as many alliances as possible when you go for a very vulnerable and easy to invade continent, so like me in this game for the center continent, which basically all of the players will have access to invade if wanting. I'm very glad that the white player decided to go for the same continent the blue player was going for and actually wiping him out from it, as that means that I will have one fewer player to worry about. That's especially good to know then that player wasn't even allied with me, so might have considered invading me after getting a continent. While with the white player being ally I shouldn't really worry about him getting a continent as he isn't going to attack me. I mean, that would be very weird with us just making the alliance. And another person who has accepted my alliance request is Pink. So I don't think I will have to worry much about him either, at least in the beginning of the game I guess. And all 3 other players haven't responded to my alliance requests. I mean, the blue player is basically dead, so obviously I don't care about him. Then the purple player might more be focused on white, since putting a bigger army next to his border, so that indicates that he doesn't have that much trust in white and probably hasn't made an alliance with him. Well, we're going to see. But the green player could potentially be a bigger issue for sure with him not accepting my alliance request. He is the player which I'm worrying about the most, with him capturing the continent next to me. I have no idea whether he will be a good neighbor and with that will probably try to expand, or whether he doesn't want to have any neighboring players next to him at all, and with that would invade me once with him receiving the continental troop bonus. So I'm considering various options on what to do about green. I could probably build guarding armies next to his borders, but with that he would probably see the threat in me thinking what I want to invade him, so with that he would probably invade me. Then I could probably consider turtling and putting my army inside of my continent, but the problem is that I don't have a single territory to build my troops to, which the green player invading me through any of the borders would unleash that army. So I don't really like the passive turtling option either. I mean, with both of these options, with letting the green player hold his continent could result of him invading me, and with that my position would be terrible. I mean, I could probably retaliate, but then probably the game would be losing for both of us, or with me not attacking him back but being without a continent, would probably result in losing the game as well. So honestly I have very bad vibes about the green player and with me not trusting him at all. I decided to go with the decision to invade and attack him before he got the continental troop bonus, as with that I could assure that he won't do anything bad to me, and with that I will continue holding my great position, so obviously assuming any other players won't invade me, but talking about the green player himself I should be good. So I think I came up with the best decision ever to invade the green player. I mean, even if he hadn't invaded me, then he would have still been a problem to me, as he would have been another decent player in the game who had decent chances to win, and probably would have ended up getting even the bigger chances than me to win the game, as probably would have expanded himself to the upper continents, while I wouldn't have been able to really expand anywhere I guess, with the pink and white players going for the continents below me, while now I will just be able to expand to the green player's lands and to the other continents above without being afraid that he could decide to attack me in any moment. And honestly, the white player invading purple has really inspired me to do the same about green. As one thing that was really likely that the purple player will want to retaliate and invade him back with white not having enough troops to guard, or even if not, then I think the white player would have focused on taking over purple's lands rather than invading me into my continent, especially with us being allied. So all in all, I cannot be much happier with my decision to invade the green player. The green player couldn't have done anything serious when it comes to the retaliation, and now I just don't have to worry about any non-allied player of invading me or being in as good position as me. So now I think I should really be about becoming the dominating player soon, so as long as my allies don't decide to betray me. But with whichever player invading me, that player would probably get a strong response back, so might not be as much of a problem as long as it would be only one player who would seriously intend to invade me. I think my best strategy right now is to expand as much and as fast as possible before the white player only has one continent and which is very weakly guarded, and before the pink player hasn't gotten a continent for himself yet, and hasn't expanded much either. The green, blue and purple players are basically dead, so I think my only serious opponents will be white and pink. And that's amazingly good that both of them are my allies, but I think even with that, they would probably consider to betray and invade me once getting some stronger positions by themselves. So before they got really strong, I think that's my best chance to highly expand my lands and start getting even bigger continental troop bonuses, as now while they're still relatively weak, they might be afraid to start a conflict with me, but with them rapidly expanding as well, I think they will start having plans to attack me, as nobody would like that one of the players would become too strong, even if these players are your allies. So right now I'm kinda in the arms race to sustain my strong position and not let my opponents to catch up to me. Or another strategy I could use is to slow down myself and won't expand anymore, but mostly focusing on building my troops inside my continent, so like using the turtling strategy, in hopes that the white and pink players would eventually start attacking each other. But I wouldn't be guaranteed of that happening at all, especially when they haven't showed any hostile signs towards each other yet, so even if they didn't attack me, that could become the Mexican standoff. So taking all of those aspects into account, I think the best strategy for me is to try expanding myself as much as possible and really taking the advantage into my hands. As right now my opponents seem to not be worried about me, or at least don't show serious signs. But I know that it won't last forever, and I know that any next turn could be the last turn before they finally decide to invade me. And another thing, I know that a lot of territories could be very confusing for low-rank players or slow players in general, so I think I will still have better odds to win even if they had a bit more troops than me combined. In this turn I was thinking whether I should betray both of my allies and break through their borders, invading them to their continents, but after all, by seeing that they're at 4 cards each, meaning that after trading in their sets they would straightly be able to properly retaliate to me and invade me into all of my continents, I decided to rather not do it and wait for another turn to see how the situation is going to look then. But I was really considering invading them both. But I decided not to, because that could have ended up of the situation being balanced out again if with both of my opponents properly retaliating, so then with them being mad at me and wanting to destroy me, that would have been very hard for me to win, so I didn't want to risk everything when I saw that my allies still haven't showed something serious that would indicate their dissatisfaction of me growing rapidly strong. Though the white player seems to take a lot of time to make his turns, and the pink player seems to spend a lot of time to deploy his troops, so taking that into account maybe I should have still tried betraying them. But I think as long as I don't get invaded into my continents this turn, I think the opportunity to win hasn't been lost yet, and the blue player has just helped me out by invading the white player into his continents, as I think now the white player won't be really having in his mind to invade me in this turn. I think he will rather think of recapturing his continent and wiping the blue player out from the near area. But actually he's just wasted his turn without doing anything, and also that was very fortunate that the pink player didn't really have in mind to invade me either. I think his focus went on trying to take the blue player out, but he was just too slow on deploying the troops. Now since the purple and blue players have a lot of cards each, I think it would probably be the best to take them out, as besides the cards I will increase my number of territories for basically free, and then with me being forced to trade in the sets in the same turn, I will get some extra time to do something else. Let's trade in the set I've got from the purple player and finish taking the blue player out. Unfortunately I forgot that I could get not that many troops from the set, and with having to do the 2 troop splits I could actually fail taking the blue player out, but luckily it's still gone well. And I think that will finally be the time when I will betray the white and pink players. I think with me having so much stuff the white player wouldn't consider attacking pink, while the pink player white, so they would either attack me or stay passive. So with that it's the best for me to betray them instantly without letting them receive their troop bonuses. Looking to the troops counter, I have quite more troops than both of them combined anyway, so there just couldn't have been any better opportunity than this one. With me taking out the blue and purple players, they wouldn't have had any other players to attack other than each other, which I doubt they would have been dumb to do so with me being in a such visible advantage. The pink player, unless he is playing for the second place, is making a very big mistake right here on rather focusing to recapture his continent over invading me into my continents, as with my gotten troops I will ruin his continental troop bonus anyway, so it doesn't really make sense for him. The white player was smarter and prioritized to invading me, but he was only able to invade me into one of my continents. So with me receiving even 32 troops from all of my continents and territories plus trading in the set, there's no way for my opponents to make a comeback. I thought that I set up my troops in the way to completely take the white player out, but then noticed that I forgot about the territory on the right, so with that I invaded the pink player into his continent. I was considering whether to wipe out the rest of accessible white territories or not, but I ran out of time anyway. But what I mean is whether I should have left the white player for pink so he would take the white player out receiving his cards, or trap one of the white player's territories, so the pink player wouldn't be able to do it but the white player would crush his troops into me anyway. But I think at the end it doesn't much matter. Though maybe I'm wrong, because with the pink player taking out white, pink would have only gotten extra 30 seconds or even fewer of them if taking white out before even 30 seconds from the turn being passed. While with the white player surviving and being able to attack me they got 2 minutes combined in total to make their turns. So with that I think it would have been better for me to leave that one territory for pink, as with me being quite more stronger, extra free cards and troops from it wouldn't have mattered for the pink player anyway at all anymore. As you can see, that's a GG. And now for another non-classical map, I would recommend you watching this video as well. That's another interesting game with a lot of interesting attacks, diplomacy, and strategy. So make sure to check this one out as well.